Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. We'll be opening our regular meeting of council today at 9:04 a.m. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The city of Chestermere is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Before we begin, I would like to point out that we are conducting this meeting virtually. You can visit the agenda page on the city's webpage for more information on how to participate in today's council meeting. With that, I'd like to say good morning to those that are online and those that have joined us in the crowd today. What I'd like to start with in regards to the approval of the agenda, I understand that Ledge has one item they'd like to add to the agenda.
Yes, just an in-camera discussion, very quick, brief about our meeting with the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3.
Okay. All right, so the motion that you'd like to add is what's on our screen today. Motion that council accept the agenda with the following amendments. Under Section F, closed session of the FOIP Act, Part 1, Section 2, Subdivision 21, disclosure harmful to intergovernment relations, flag ceremony update. All right, with that, if I can get a motion in relation to the motion that I just read from one of the councillors. Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, I'll read the motion. Motion that council accepts the agenda with the following amendments under Section F, closed session, FOIP Act, Part 1, Section 2, Division 21, disclosure harmful to intergovernmental relationships, flag ceremony update.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions in relation to that motion? All right, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to our approval of the minutes, which is item C1, which is on pages 2 to page 22. The March 28th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes. Councillor, are there any comments in relation to those minutes? Seeing none, hearing none. If I can get a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Councillor Vogt.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as presented. Oh, sorry, I'll read it. Motion that council accept the minutes of March 28th regular council meeting minutes and acknowledge the official administrator's comments.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, the next item is second minutes, which is April 4th, 2023, regular council meeting minutes. Council, again, if I could get a motion to accept the minutes as presented and as presented on our screen. Councillor Vogt.
Motion that council accept the April 4th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes and accept the official administrator's comments.
Councillor, are there any comments in relation to this? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number D, which is a general business item regarding an update on our action list, which will be presented today by Travis Fillier, City Director of Community Growth and Infrastructure. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So I'll just share my screen and utilize the technology that we have with us. Can everyone see that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm here to provide an update on the public action list. So the first one being the Fieldhouse feasibility review and quote. So this one is in regards to the civic site in Dawson's Landing. Right now, the latest on that is that we've requested a quote from a consultant regarding the feasibility concept. So we did receive that as of yesterday. We will be reviewing that and ensuring that the quote is within our procurement policy as well as procurement thresholds to determine if we need to obtain more quotes or if we're satisfied with that one. But right now, that one is still in very much a feasibility stage in securing a consultant. The next one being the school sites. So I know we've done some presentations to council as well as to the public. This will likely reiterate some of that. So senior administration continues to work with the school boards and the developers to help deliver school sites to meet the school board district's priorities. I think that's important to note is that the school boards actually set their priorities that they submit to the province for funding. The current K-9 school, the RVS, received funding to initiate the preliminary planning, which will likely be in the Dawson community. So we expect that the preliminary planning for that will get going this year. The future high school site within Chelsea community. So we're working with the developer to transfer the title to RVS as well. The developer will be doing some construction along Merganser that bounds the north side of that site, which is great to make it fully accessible from the north side. Servicing is complete, and obviously the loam pile that sits on it right now, they continue to work on that, and we will be working with the developer to find opportunities to remove that loam pile. The high school site, based on Rocky View School's revised priority list, has now put the school into the budget for the 2025 year. So, and again, that's based on their priorities. The Calgary Roman Catholic Separate School Division has their K-9 school that recently received funding from the province. That was for design, so we expect that to be underway. And construction is planned to start in 2024 for that school site. That one will be on the joint site between Chelsea and Dawson. We continue to improve existing school sites. We met with Rocky View Schools last week in regards to an expansion of one of their school sites here in Chestermere, K-9 school site in the Middle Lake School. So they will be adding some modulars to that. And then we continue to work with developers on all future school sites to make sure that they're going to be site graded, serviced, and the title transferred as early as possible to have them ready for the school board's priority list. Mayor, did you want me to pause at the end of each of these for a Q&A, or do you want me to wait to get through the end and then if council has any questions?
We can, sure, we can have questions at the end of each one, sure. Councilors, any questions in relation to the school site update? Thank you, Travis.
So the next one is the east acreages, and so as we're aware, Liz had done a presentation to council in regards to all north acreages, Paradise Meadows, as well as east acreages. The latest right now is that we continue to work with east acreage owners on next steps, including looking at how we can get a sewer analysis completed along with any transportation reviews. So those would be some of the next steps. And then, of course, administration is working on our land use bylaw amendments, which is underway, and any MDP amendments that will be required for east acreages.
Councilor, are there any questions in relation to east acreages? Seem. Oh, sorry, Councilor Hanley.
Yeah, for the sewer analysis, Trevor, have we received a quote, and do we have any idea of if the residents are willing to fund that, or if other ones need to be approached to see if they would be willing to fund it?
So we right now are still in that stage. We haven't requested any quotes. We haven't got into the details on who would pay for it, but we will be going through that right now. Yep.
Okay.
So the next one is the roundabout options for West Chestermere Drive, excuse me, and Station Way, right where John Morris Way is. And so I know this one has been being investigated for the past few months for sure. And so right now we are looking at the potential to secure modulars from Alberta Transportation from a project that they've done recently in Sundre as a pilot project. We learned that Alberta Transportation and the town of Sundre will be converting theirs to permanent roundabouts. And so there are 3 there. We are investigating whether or not it would match our geometric layout here if we have to do any modifications to our corridor. So I'm still waiting to hear back from them. At the same time, our administration team is also securing a second option from a contractor who would manufacture a modular at this location. I don't think it comes to anyone's surprise that this intersection has some safety concerns as well as traffic flow concerns as well. And with the recent McDonald's that will be breaking ground here in May, which I'll get to further in this, will likely add more demand and pressure on that intersection. So we're going to work hard to try and alleviate that this year.
Councillor, are there any questions in relation to that update? Thank you. Travis, please proceed.
So speed limits on Highway 1 between 791 and 281. From my understanding that, and this was before my time, but this speed limit has been reduced already to 80 kilometers an hour through this section. So I'm not sure if this item is now complete, Council, or if there was any other objectives that you wanted me to address on this one.
So this particular portion of the highway, just so everybody's clear, is 791 is the road that the high school is on, and 281 is the next road before the curve as you're heading west.
That is correct, but I believe the 80 kilometer zone even starts before that. So as you're coming around the bend going east, the 80 kilometer starts right there. I believe which is 281, Range Road 281.
Are there any questions in regards to this, Council? Councillor Funk?
If I'm not mistaken, I think we were requesting more acceleration, deceleration lanes in these locations in order to give residents more room so they're not pulling into traffic. So.
Yeah, like
Can't remember, but I
791
thought that's-
has an acceleration lane from the high school.
Yeah, that one does, but 281 doesn't.
And 281, I think heading west, it does not.
So I think that's the same as most of the intersections along there. We're kind of having the same discussion as far as talking to Alberta Transportation about additional acceleration, deceleration lanes.
Was that the intent for this one, Councillor Fung?
I thought so.
Yeah, because 281 is the road that just goes that goes into East Acreages.
Yeah.
That's Range Road 281.
Councillor Dean.
Councillor Dean?
Yeah, thank you. I believe this particular section of highway was reduced to 80 after the accident where the young man lost his life, turning onto Highway 1 coming out of the high school. And so because there are so many young drivers, obviously, coming out of that, turning onto the high school, I believe that's why it was changed to 80. There is a deceleration lane at the high school intersection, acceleration lane, but there isn't at the next one, but that's where it goes back up to 110, and then it slows down again to 80 by Rainbow Road. So it's, yeah. So, but that's, in terms of the historical, why that one was changed to 80, that came after there was a serious collision at that intersection.
Yeah, so Travis, in relation to this particular action item, I'm not certain that if the council was looking at speed limit changes, because that 80 kilometer an hour was done, as Councillor Dean mentioned, some time ago because of a serious accident, and then Alberta Transportation responded by putting in a significant acceleration lane. Yeah, this particular action item is a bit hard to understand exactly what it's asking.
Correct, because the title on this says speed limits on Highway 1 between 791 and 281, which, if I'm not mistaken, has a motion number of 22-144. So if there's any uncertainty around what that motion is, we can definitely go back and readdress what the objective was for this line item.
Councillor Dean?
Sorry, if memory serves me correct, I think what we were looking at was this was also around the time when between Rainbow Road and Conrich was getting changed to 80. And I think we were wanting to do some comparisons also to why the speed limit over Glenmore essentially was still 100 and they had changed it to 80 because that one was done through Rocky View and Alberta Transportation. And I think we had a conversation about doing some comparisons on intersections throughout the area and why, like, I can't remember all the details, but even I'm seeing some nods right now that this is all starting to come back to us a little bit. We were wanting, there was a project that we had given, I believe at the time we'd given, Navies was working on it. And we were looking at those the speed limit changes throughout that whole corridor there. I think that's what this action item was. And the historical as to why they changed that one, but the other one hadn't been changed, but then it was changed. I think it was right in that time frame, if I'm not mistaken. Because the Rainbow Road one got changed after we opened Rainbow Road.
Yeah, that was definitely, we had at one time, we were looking at transportation studies that have been done at those intersections.
That's it.
And I definitely recall that one. I don't entirely recall the speed limits only. It might, maybe at a future council meeting, we can have the motion brought back up and then look at what council was looking for in that item. Councillor Dean?
No, I think you got it. I think it was the transportation studies.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, and I think maybe it got put in under this, but I think it was those transportation studies that we were looking at for those two areas, because we were wondering what was the transportation study that was done to make that change that had been done there. It was that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you could clarify that for us, I guess in our next update, that would be great. Councillor, are there any other questions in relation to this item? All right, thank you. Travis, if you could proceed, please.
Okay, thank you. So I guess sort of this might allude to one of Councillor Funk's kind of parallel one of his comments there in regards to the merge. This is for Rainbow Road, and this is the traffic impact assessment and for the merge lane at Rainbow Road North on Highway 1. So I know that we had a consultant that was producing a memo for us, which we haven't received to date, but administration recently followed up on that to get an update on that. So we're hoping to get something back this week for an update on that.
Just to clarify, Travis, so you're indicating that this isn't specifically regarding the acceleration lane at Rainbow and Highway 1?
It is correct, yeah. This is the intersection upgrade at Rainbow Road North and Highway 1.
Okay, and just at the risk of jumping ahead, we've also been interested in the Rainbow Road and Glenmore Trail acceleration lane.
Correct, and I can talk to that now if you would like. So I guess, Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors, which is your new name, AT, recently had a study completed on that intersection, and as we're aware, there are safety concerns. They have staged their recommendations in regards to how to address the safety concerns there, and maybe I'll scan to it here right now. Just bear with me for 1 sec. Here it is here. So they say that they will implement the following short-term recommendations. So replace the existing stop sign, install a flashing red at the south approach, replace any bent or damaged signs on Highway 560. They're going to refresh the pavement markings, relocate the stop lines, install flashing red light on the south approach. They're going to look at a speed reduction on Highway 560 through the intersection. Obviously, it says this is subject to ministerial approval. And the single intersection upgrades, such as a traffic light or roundabout, will be advanced subject to provincial priority and funding availability. So there are these short-term fixes right now, with the understanding that there's a long-term solution as well.
So is there, that they weren't willing to consider an acceleration lane heading west?
The study doesn't say specifically whether it should or shouldn't be. It just states the facts of the pros and cons of the acceleration lanes. But the one concern that they identified in their report is that the left turn north, which is south of Glenmore, where they're doing the left turning movement going west to get onto Glenmore. So we're looking at the south part of Rainbow Road. They also have to merge into that oncoming traffic. So their concern was that you have these left turn movements merging into Glenmore, and then you have the southbound Rainbow Road, which wants to turn right and go westbound, also wanting to merge in there. So with two acceleration lanes on the outsides of this through traffic, that was their concern, is who has right of way. The through drivers would now have to pay attention to a person on my left and a person on my right trying to merge in. So it's not saying that it can't happen. It was just there were some safety concerns of whether that was the right solution or not. So in short, I guess the solution that they would look at for the mid to long term would be either a traffic light or a roundabout.
Okay. Now I'm going to make a statement here, but I guess that I've experienced lots of intersections on Highway 1 that have acceleration lanes on both sides. On the like if you're heading west, you would have an acceleration lane for those approaching from the south and those approaching from the north. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Having said that, we've got one already from those that are heading from the south. And the challenge is it's a major safety concern for those people that are coming from Chestermere that could pull out in front of somebody and be hit at full speed. I mean, it's nice to have a solution a few years from now, but I think it's pretty priority. Is there an option that we can force the issue? Can we pay for it, or council agrees?
I mean, I can definitely inquire on that. I think it will go back to the study as well, though, on whether or not AT finds that as a solution of creating an acceleration lane there going westbound.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Fote.
I believe that's just a suggestion. Would they consider putting up a large flashing sign to the east of the intersection, reduce the speed through there just to pull the attention? The drivers need to pay attention, that the ones that do have the right of way, they need to slow down and be aware of somebody trying to pull out.
And that is one of their short-term solutions here, is that they would do a speed reduction on Highway 560.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'd also like to ask you to ask them why they haven't done that on the Trans-Canada over at the high school entrance, where they lowered the speed to 80, but they were going to put a flashing sign to say high collision. I believe it was a high collision intersection approaching, and that hasn't been done yet. So I would like to have you ask them that too.
Will do.
Thank you.
Councillor, are there any further questions? Councillor Dean?
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor to Travis, would it be worth having booking possibly a presentation from Alberta Transportation on this issue? Because I agree with you, Mayor, that this intersection can be fun. I drive that intersection almost nightly, and especially during the winter, the number of cars that are in the ditch that are turning left coming back into Chestermere, because you can take that turn almost by accident too quickly, and it can be a little sketchy. So I'm just wondering about maybe presentation so that they could hear from council concerns on this or something like that. I just wonder if that would be something that council would be interested in so that we could have that conversation in open council.
Councillor Dean, I'll definitely investigate that to see if they would be interested in presenting some material.
Thank you, Travis. Council, are there any further questions? All right, if we could move forward.
So the next one is the in-camera land sale. This one was in conjunction with 344 West Chestermere Drive, which I believe is, again, well before my time, but back in 2010 or 2011, when the city owned many parcels around the lake, and this one being one of the remnant ones left against the lake. We are currently looking into how we go about selling this piece of parcel, which I'm not sure if, I don't have a screen in front of me, the map up in front of me. But at 344 West Chestermere Drive, there's just one parcel kind of isolated, I would say, that is very inaccessible to get to, that the city owns. The only way to get into it obviously would be by boat, to properly access it without going over any private property. So the value of it to us right now is very low. And so what we're doing right now is looking into getting an appraisal to understand what the market value is for that piece, as well as contacting the adjacent landowner who was interested, and we're continuing to confirm whether she's still interested in acquiring that parcel, and just we've involved legal as well to make sure that we're doing it properly.
Thank you.
So this and the next one, so the motion 2202 and 072 are kind of related to the same thing.
Thank you. You can proceed, please.
The next one is the Webster Concept Plan, also known as Serenity. So the outline plan was submitted, and we have circulated it, and the circulation has ended on April 5th. Internal comments have been generated, and they're just under review right now. We will be releasing the comments to the applicant by the end of this week.
Councilor, are there any questions in relation to Webster? Serenity? Please proceed.
The Clearwater Centron item that's here, this one, so this was in regards to the land swap and the road closure. There was a small section of public road that we had closed, and so this is just the formality of the exchange between the two parcels. We have an appraiser engaged in this one as well. This one we have no concerns with. Again, it was a public road right away that council deemed and administration deemed that we no longer needed, and the value of both properties, and they were pretty equal in regards to area and value. So we're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's on that exchange as well. So,
Councilor, are there any questions? Thank you. Please proceed.
the next one we went through on Glenmore, workshop for application process. So I think this one had initiated during a time when council had come in and had many questions, I guess, maybe around the whole process of applications. And Clearwater Park applications also created some questions early on in regards to how we were moving forward with that application and trying to fast track some of those items. So I guess our question right now that council is a year and a half into your term and understanding a lot more about the ASPs and OPs and a lot of the DAs and kind of that process, we were just wondering whether or not this was something council wanted us to present on.
I think that this particular item related to our application process in general, and for council to fully understand how all the steps work through, as well as to talk with administration as to are we looking at all different types of efficiencies and how we can work with the developers to ensure that they're obviously following those, but at the same time, is there other ways for us to become efficient? But I think, in my personal opinion, I think a workshop still makes sense, though, so that council can ask any questions they'd like of the situation. Are there any other questions?
So what we would do there then is we would build off of our flow chart that's available on the city website, and then we can come and maybe talk to each one of those points to council. At the same time, we are updating those flow charts as well and trying to find those efficiencies on where we can parallel certain applications and trying to increase some of the timelines. So,
Excellent.
But we will we'll prepare a presentation and bring it forth to council. I doubt it would be April 25th, but maybe we can get on the May 2nd agenda.
No, that's fine, yeah. Thank you. Any other further questions, council? Okay. Please proceed, Travis.
So the next item is the paved pathway to Langdon, aka a multi-use path. Right now, I have reached out to both. I've discussed actually with Rocky View County as of yesterday, and understood that this alignment actually is on their recreational plans as well, which is great to hear. They have identified an alignment between Langdon and Chestermere. I've also reached out to WID to understand their appetite in regards to continuing a pathway along the canal, which is pretty similar to what we have in place right now between Chestermere and Calgary anyway. And I believe there's a section of it already completed between 791 and Glenmore. So we would just be trying to connect the dots there and create an active transportation corridor between both municipalities and communities. So it sounds positive. The next step right now would be for us to get in front of IMC with a formal presentation. And then as well, our administration is currently investigating an application for an active transportation grant, which there are grants available for this type of work. So,
Excellent. Councillor, any questions? Thanks, Travis. Please proceed.
This next one is the 240285 Rainbow Road proposed redesignation. I don't have a lot to update on this one. I have reached out, I guess to clarify where this is on the east side. The parcel that's been vacant there south of No Frills and the mobile gas station there, which is owned by Truman. And so I reached out to the developer to inquire on their future plans and concepts for this one. And I'm just waiting for a response, so I don't have a lot to update on this one.
Please proceed.
The land use for the north acreages, again, we received a 50% response on the survey from the property owners. We are continuing to identify how we can increase the survey response as per Liz's presentation to council and our recommendation going forward. So, as mentioned, we will continue to try to find opportunities to reach out and understand what the response is from those that we haven't heard back yet on direction for future development within North Acreages. And the same goes for Paradise Meadows, which is the next one there.
Yeah, that's so that's important. Just so everyone knows, that's the same types of project we're working with the East Acreage landowners, is working with acreage owners on how to move any of their plans forward, or to provide solutions to some of their challenges, such as servicing. Are there any other questions from council? Doesn't seem so. Please proceed, Travis.
The rodeo and exhibition ground, we had to identify as being on hold. I can't say there's a lot to update on this one right now. We are assessing a couple different locations on where we could facilitate something of this magnitude. and so that's kind of still new and underway, but I don't have a lot to update on this one.
Councillor, are there any questions? Please proceed.
Utility master plan update. So our consultant is generating the terms of reference right now for the RFP, and we're hoping to release the RFP in the next couple weeks.
A quick question, Travis, on the master plan. Is there plan to be 2 phases to that? Like, do you have? We're looking at annexation. So, would there be a master plan in the event of annexation, and would there be a master plan or a first phase of it? I guess in relation to what is existing in the city boundaries.
Yeah, good question. I think it would be the level of detail that we can include in the utility master plan. So it would definitely have to be 2 phases once we understood the new boundaries of the city. But at the same time, while we're doing this work, we want to hone in on what we know within our boundaries that we have and the upgrades that are needed and whatnot. But at the same time, we'll still do some of that high level preliminary work outside of the boundary, just to understand regionally where a lift station might be or where the main trunks are going to be. So still some of that preliminary work would be included in this one.
Okay. Councillor, are there any questions in relation to that? All right, thanks, Travis. Please proceed.
The new fire hall and apparatus. So I would say that the next action item for this is for administration and council to conduct a workshop on next steps for a new fire hall and or whatever that apparatus looks like.
Councillor, are there any questions? Thanks, Travis.
The McDonald's Town Center. So I know that there was a couple different line items for this one. One being the lighting design for the building, which went through an appeal process. That is coming to final stages right now. We've approved the design and had them revise some of their plans to make sure that it matches and is in parallel to similar lighting that we see downtown here. At the same time, McDonald's has informed me that they're looking to break ground in the beginning of May, which is great news.
Councillor, are there any questions in relation to that? Thanks, Travis.
Transportation master plan update. So the TMP is underway with our consultant. We've hosted our first internal workshop already. Modeling is also underway, and our consultant and administration is planning to host a workshop with council on June 6th.
Now, Travis, that would be another question for phase 1 and phase 2. Do they, again, taking into account the possible changes that might occur with the various annexation areas?
We would have to take a semi-regional global look at that as well. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councillor, any other questions? Thanks, Travis.
The next one is the Chestermere Boulevard Bridge Upgrade Feasibility Study. We received the draft feasibility study as of last week, and it is currently under review. So once this report has been reviewed and finalized and senior administration has signed off on it, the findings will be presented to council. We're targeting on May 30th.
So just so everyone knows, this is our main bridge that goes across Chestermere Lake on Chestermere Boulevard between East Chestermere Drive and West Chestermere Drive. So it's fairly extremely exciting about some of the plans you guys are bringing forward. Councillor, are there any questions in relation to this update? Thanks, Travis. Please proceed.
So the next one is the safety concerns at Merganser Drive. So to identify where this is located, this one is the Chestermere Boulevard and Merganser Drive West, which is in the Chelsea community, the intersection there. If council recalls, I had done a presentation of this back in January, I think, in regards to next steps. We've approved for traffic lights to be installed there. Some of the preliminary work, including the underground conduit, has been completed, and we are just awaiting for some of the final parts to arrive for us to finish that work. So I think the initial date was to have it done by the end of March, which I reported to council. Because of supply issues, we're still waiting on those few parts, and we would hope to have it completed here very soon.
Councillor, are there any questions in relation to that update? Thanks, Travis.
The civic site. So this is the one in Dawson. So to elaborate on this one a little bit further, there's an endorsement package being prepared by our legal survey consultant, and it's to be submitted to the city this week. It's supposed to be early this week. The city will review the package for completeness, and if we prove that it is complete, we can endorse the package and submit to LTO. We are also in discussion, or will be in discussion, with the developer in regards to any of the cost-sharing conditions and what the servicing of these lands look like. And as I mentioned in one of the previous line items, we are investigating a quote right now, which we did receive, for some conceptual design of what the layout and look and feel of the 20-acre, along with the 15-acre for the Chelsea High School site. So we did preliminary talk to Rocky View Schools and some synergies between both sites, in that there is obviously a high school going there. Could there be any sort of trade school opportunities with the commercial that's going to be fronting Chestermere Boulevard, as well as any synergies between the school itself and the amenities that the rec site can offer? We really, and then this goes back to the concept plan, we really think there's a lot of great stuff that come out of the planning of this site if we if all the stakeholders are engaged and we're kind of coordinating the design of this.
Yeah, it's very exciting, Travis. Thank you very much. Looking forward to that. Councillor, are there any other questions in relation to this update? Thanks, Travis.
The Internal Subdivision Steering Committee. Again, this one was a bit before my time, and so it took me a bit to understand maybe the objective of this one. I believe it was just in regards to developing a committee to be able to oversee and bring some of the subdivisions like for review and for closure. So I'm not sure now that we're well underway with some of the civic site endorsement packages, trying to transfer some of the school sites as well. I guess my question to council is if this is something that we still need.
My recollection of this was in relation to ensuring the moving forward of the subdivisions with the high school and the civic, as well as possibly some of the school sites. I guess the question is does council feel that this committee should be continued and populated as opposed to getting the updates that we're getting from Travis currently, and asking them to use and continue to use more effectively our action list. But I wouldn't mind hearing from council if there's some thoughts on that or variance to that statement, if there's any. Councillor Funk?
I think the direction that we've been going is quite significantly different than where we were in the past. I can see a lot of focus on us actually moving forward on the school sites, better planning around those. So personally, I'm comfortable with us moving away from this, but keeping it kind of in the back of our minds that if we feel the planning and stuff isn't quite there, that we're keeping on top of it to ensure school sites and things like that are moving forward in a timely manner.
Exactly. Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, I would agree with Councillor Funk on this, and I believe that this is also attached to that workshop where we're going to look at the process and the flows, and both of those things cover off that whole process to become more effective, more efficient, and to ensure we're avoiding delays. So I think this one actually just merges in with the other.
Well, and I don't know, Travis, if you expect, but the new norm now with Land Titles Office seems to be 3-4 months now.
It's down to about 6 weeks now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, then we don't need to adjust. All right. That's exceptional.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better.
Well, that's exciting. Okay, so there's no adjustment needed there then. Councillor, are there any other questions in relation to this item? So Travis, would you like us to decide if we would like to continue with this or just simply turf it?
Are you asking my opinion on whether we should keep it or not, or
You'd
make a
like us to
decision?
decide the matter right
Yeah. I would say if council can decide right now, that'd be great. Yep.
Okay. Kate, just to ask a quick question. So while we're going through this, can we look at doing a motion to remove or a motion at this time
Yes, you can.
from an action list? Okay. I'm not sure if we probably should throw something up on the screen if we were looking to do this at this moment. Councillor, are there any questions that in relation to wordsmithing? What do we have here?
Can I close all your outlooks? It's your outlook is the bottom.
So Kate, would we indicate the request to remove motion number? And would that do that, or is there a better way to do that?
You can do it that way. Do we know what the motion number was?
I believe it's on the action list. If we go back to that, we can see the motion number. There should be a motion number, or it shouldn't be on the action list. Travis, is there a motion number beside that?
I don't see one actually. Nope, sorry, there was no motion number, but I can tell you that. Just 1 second. It was July 22nd of 2022 is the date. Sorry, I have no motion number, but that was the date.
Is there an action item number?
I wouldn't trust that, to be honest with you, because we reformatted the Excel spreadsheet to remove some of the closed items, and some of the closed items may have action number to them, so I can't confirm on whether I would be giving you the right number.
Well, for what, I guess for us moving forward, we'll have to use the action number that's on there. Then we'll ask administration to confirm that.
Okay.
Can you read out the action number?
I mean, again, in the Excel spreadsheet, it's line item 48, so I can't confirm whether that's the action item number or not.
Councillor Funk?
Did we want to just let this go for now and they can bring it back next week and we can close it at that time and rediscuss it?
We may have to. Can you bring up the action list again? Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, could we, in the motion, could we refer to this presentation, the item and the title, indicating the action list update from Growth and Development of April 18th? So we sufficiently identify what specifically we're talking about?
Sure, so it's an internal subdivision steering committee.
Mayor, if I may, we don't need a decision on this right now. I mean, if we understand that there's no immediate action item on this, we can go back and research the actual motion number and then we can come back to council later. That's fine. I don't need a decision on this right now.
Sure, why don't we do that, and then we'll get that information updated. Okay, if you could move on to the next one. Thanks, Travis.
So the next one was in regards to the presentation that one of our consultants had presented to council on the Rainbow Falls stormwater under drain and the entire stormwater catchment area for the development west of Rainbow Falls as well as Rainbow Road. And council's direction was to proceed with option A at the time of including the additional area as well as having it being the preferred option of including the Endeavor into the levies as well. So the objective or the next actions that came out of that council presentation was for administration to present this information to the industry, developer industry, and get some feedback on the options. We are proceeding with option A, which was the preferred option of council, which, as I mentioned, include the Endeavor to assist within the levies. And right now we are just coordinating the notifications of all that. I'm working with the developer to which the Endeavors are entitled to, as well as notifications to the developers that would be involved in the contribution, because they would be included in the catchment area for the stormwater. So we're just coordinating through all the different stakeholders.
Great. Councillor, are there any questions? Thanks, Travis. That's really good information.
The next one, in conjunction with the stormwater underdrain, was for us, council had authorized city administration to obtain a quote from a bona fide expert in regards to updating our city standards to accommodate the requirements for phosphorus loading and for the new development areas in a business-like manner. That's in conjunction with the works agreement with WID and making sure that we are acting reasonably with the moving forward with the underdrain in regards to phosphorus loading. And right now we have secured an expert in that field, and work is underway.
And I just wanted to say that that's really cutting edge stuff that you guys are doing there, because it really puts you ahead of what WID's concerns are in regards to quality of water entering their system. And that additional work that you're doing is obviously has been very well received by WID, which is great news. So keep up the good work. Thanks for that.
Thank you. The next item was in regards to Rainbow Road. As you are aware, we went through our presentation on the roundabouts for Rainbow Road from north to south, and our council decided that we would move forward with the upgrade of a roundabout at Merganser Drive and Rainbow Road. And so that scope change has been approved with the consultant, and design is underway. And we're targeting a tender release here, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, to put Rainbow Road out to tender. The south roundabout, I thought was another line item on here, but the south roundabout at Waterford Boulevard will also be designed once Rainbow Road has been tendered, because we didn't want that one to slow down the construction schedule for Rainbow Road. So.
Thank you. Councillor, are there any questions? Please proceed, Travis.
Again, sorry, the ones that I'm going through here now are 2023. So we've updated our public action list to include include the motions to date from council for 2023. So these are the ones that I'm going through. So these might reiterate some of what I've talked about from 2022 as well. So again, this one was a motion that council direct administration to attempt to contact the property owners in North Acreages and Paradise Meadows to complete the survey. As I mentioned above, administration continues to obtain the contact information to be able to contact these property owners to see if we can increase our survey response.
Thanks, Travis.
The next one here actually is the Waterford Boulevard update on Rainbow Road. Again, once it's tendered, we'll revisit the design for Waterford Boulevard for the roundabout.
Thanks, Travis.
The next one is the motion that council had directed administration to develop a long-term plan for converting above-ground power lines to underground power lines with consideration of property owners, utility companies, and other impacted parties. So out of that, that was one of the items that council had in their council discussions agenda item, I believe it was called. And so I believe there's about 10 items in there, this being one of them, for us to investigate whether there's an opportunity for us to start converting some of these overhead power lines to underground. We are currently, we have initiated that preliminary right now by starting to engage our GIS team to identify where all these alignments are, and for us to identify which ones would have priority, and to contact the utility companies as well, who may have some future plans in any of the upgrades, and see if there's any synergies.
Councillor, any comments? Thanks, Travis.
The next one is the Accessibility and Streetscape Advisory Committee, to include within the Transportation Master Plan. So this was the pathways, the multi-use pathways, to make sure that we're giving some consideration to accessibility in our communities and our Transportation Master Plan. This being obviously wider pathways. We don't want a narrow 1.1 or 1.5 concrete sidewalk. We want something that is able to accommodate various modes of active transportation, whether that be bikes, scooters, motorized wheelchairs, strollers, and whatnot. So right now, what I can say is that we've brought this forth to our Transportation Master Plan consultant. And as a quick update, I did want to make note that because of the roads that were named here at the council meeting, Rainbow Road, Chestermere Boulevard, East Side, Canal Pathway, and Range Road 284, I can say that there is a 4-meter wide pathway incorporated along the west side of Rainbow Road. Chestermere Boulevard, the design that we have reviewed to date, has a 4.3 meter wide active transportation corridor, which that is comprised of a 2.5 meter bike path along with a 1.8 meter walk. And reviewing other roadways such as the active transportation presentation that went to council about a month ago, which included East Lakeview Road, looking at opportunities to be able to incorporate active transportation along those corridors and throughout the east side of West Chestermere Lake and others. And then looking to continue the canal pathway to 791, which I mentioned earlier, as well as an extension to Langdon. So any opportunities that we can find to increase active transportation along the canal, obviously in conjunction with WAD. And then the proposed cross section for Range Road 284. So this one is a joint corridor with the city of Calgary. Obviously we would build one side of it and Calgary would build the other side. Our side has incorporated at a conceptual stage right now a 3-meter multi-use path on the east side, and then in conjunction with the plans for that corridor, Calgary would have a 3.5 meter MUP on their side. So to recognize the roads that council had mentioned, and I mean, I would think that that's just a shortened list, but I would say that we can positively say that we are taking steps in making sure that there are active transportation corridors throughout the city.
Thank you, Travis. That's exceptional. Councillor, are there any questions or statements? Thank you.
The next one was for us to investigate and clarify ownership of the fencing along roadways, and to research whether land improvement tax bylaw could be something we could be a route that we could go, or other revenue sources such as grants and any of the fencing upgrades throughout Chestermere. So again, we'll identify these areas throughout the city, allow these common fencing between private and public right-of-ways. Again, you'll see some of this along like Rainbow Road, for instance. We're just identifying who owns the infrastructure as well as who is to maintain it. And I believe we were to come back to council by the end of May with an update, and I would say we're just getting underway on this one.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Thanks, Travis.
Second last one here. Investigate the twinning of Chestermere Boulevard from Rainbow Road. Again, this is between Rainbow Road and West Chestermere Drive. During this council discussion, we had said that we would carry the same cross section that we're looking at for Chestermere Boulevard between Range Road 284 and Rainbow Road. we're just getting this underway as well. So the objective here was to return to council by the end of May with an update. So we will look at applying the same cross-section as well as confirm any right-of-way and or constraints to apply that cross-section, and then prepare a cost estimate, and we will present that at the end of May.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Thanks, Travis.
And then the last one here, we are looking at expanding the parking lot for City Hall here, as per one of my presentations to council, and whether or not it would be in the 2024 capital budget or earlier in 2023, depending on briefing with our finance department on funding priorities. So there is a presentation going to go back to council on April 25th in regards to the City Hall enhancements, in regards to the MSI funding for that, as well, whether or not we could pair the parking lot project with that project. So we'll have more of an update on this one at the next council meeting.
Thank you. Any comments, council? Thank you, Travis. Councillor Fout, sorry.
I know we can discuss this more like on the 25th, but is there consideration what we're going to do with the trees on the area involved? Are we going to move them into another location in the city to make good use of these trees?
So yes, the smaller ones that are along Marina Drive, they can easily be spaded. Like you can transplant those. The big ones on the corner, those big spruce that are there, they won't be touched.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's all I have for my public action list update, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Travis. Council, if I can get a motion to accept the current, or the presentation we just received as for information. Councillor Hanley?
I assume they're going to bring it up on the screen. Motion that council accepts the action item list community growth and infrastructure presentation as information.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to our item number E, which is pages 36 to 68, which is our bylaws 005-23, Elected Officials Code of Conduct bylaw. Now, this is for our third reading. Now, if I can confirm with Lead Services, so in regards to, I read the bylaw, there hasn't been any changes in relation to what we discussed last time for our second reading that we passed?
The changes made were the red line version, and then we consolidated that into a version that you could see, but it's not approved until third reading.
Right.
Of 005-23.
Okay. All right, so if I can get a motion to accept if you can put the motion back on the screen. Council give third reading to bylaw 005. If I can get one of the councillors to bring that forward. Councillor Hanley?
Motion that council give third reading to bylaws 005-23 being the elected officials code of conduct amendment bylaw.
Thank you. Councillor, are there any questions or comments in relation to this motion? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, so now we're going to move into our in-camera that will not be too long today. We have just a quick item to discuss in relation to some of our new flag ceremony that we're looking at doing. So that, I would think that wouldn't take more than 20 minutes?
Probably about 15.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, thank you. If I can get a motion to go in camera. Councillor Foat?
I make the motion that we go in camera at this time.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Great. We can take Great, thank you everyone for your patience. We're just coming out of in camera. If I can get a motion to come out of in camera, Councillor Fote.
I make the motion that council move out of closed session.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, we have one order of business coming out of in camera. If we could put the motion up. Council, if I could get one of the council to read the motion. Councillor Dean? Sorry.
Point of order. Ledge Services, I believe, has. Sorry. Point of order. I think Ledge Services has a comment.
Okay.
If I may.
We have to allow people time to come back from the closed session.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We should open the door and get someone out there to let them know that it's available. Thank you. Thank you. All right, if I can get a counselor to read the motion that's on the screen. Councillor Dean?
I'd like to make a motion that council direct administration to schedule with the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 to conduct a Métis flag ceremony for May 16, 2023.
Councillor, are there any comments in relation to the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, that actually concludes our council meeting today. If I can get a motion to adjourn. Councillor Funk?
I make a motion that we adjourn at this time.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, darn it.